Good evening. Welcome to Elyria City Council meeting for Monday, December 18th, 2023. This time we'll take a moment of reflective silence while by the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd ask that Ms. Simmons and Mr. Corbin please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If I could ask the audience to, if you have your cell phone, please turn it to silent mode or off. It'd be greatly appreciated during the council meeting. Mr. Clerk, can I have roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Callahan.
Here.
Mr. Sira.
Here.
Mr. Oswald.
Here.
Mr. Corbin.
Here.
Mrs. Mitchell.
Here.
Mr. Tollett.
Here.
Mr. Lippian. Mrs. Davis.
Here.
Mrs. Simmons.
Here.
Mr. Snyder.
Here.
Mr. Stewart.
Here.
We got 10 present, 1 absent. I got an absence from Mr. Lippian.
Can I get a motion to excuse Mr. Lippian?
So moved.
To Mr. Sarah?
Second.
Second by Mr. Schneider. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Mr. President, got a note from Mr. Lippian. Regrettably, we have had a sequence of family health issues this year, which preclude my being able to attend tonight. I send my best wishes to Mayor Whitfield and council members Corbin and Simmons, as well as those city officials who will leave us after this year. It was an honor to have served with you, each of you, and I wish you lots of luck in the future.
Thank you. Public hearings?
There are none?
Can I get approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Snyder, second by Ms. Mitchell. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Mayor Whitfield.
Thank you, Council President, and to you and City Council members. Sorry I lost my voice. One of the major requests I do have, though, is you got to let me borrow that jacket someday. But on a serious note, I just want to thank all the residents for the opportunity to serve. I want to give a special thanks to my wife, Kalina, who's here tonight, and our family for all the sacrifice that they made throughout these 4 years. It's been a great journey, and I'm very proud of what we were able to accomplish. You know, being the first African-American that's ever been elected in this role comes with a bit of pressure that I don't think you can fully understand unless you're in the role. But I took that serious, and I hope that I've left the door open for folks in the future to recognize, you know, a kid from the South Side can lead our city well. And I'm proud of the work we were able to get done. I know a lot of my accomplishments are not my accomplishments, as what we were able to do together, because so many of the things that we had to get done had to go through you all. So I'm appreciative of the partnership we were able to form and things we were able to get done. And, you know, as we wrap up this term, I'm going to continue to stay engaged as much as I can, and hopefully I have my voice back in the future. But again, I want to especially thank my wife, Kalina, who's here tonight, for being alongside me on this journey. And I look forward to what the future holds. Thank you.
Very good, Mayor. We wish you nothing but the best. We appreciate your leadership for the 4 years that you did here, and your continued leadership that you'll have. You'll still have a voice in our community and everything like that. And I wish you nothing but the best.
And can I get that jacket?
Mr. Oswald.
And I want to say the same thing. And, you know, we always didn't agree, but we always try to come to a decision, good one. And I did enjoy working with you, and it was very favorable for me. So thank you very much. I did appreciate it.
Anybody else? Mr. Callahan.
Yeah, through you, Mr. President. Yeah, I want to say thank you to the mayor. I very much appreciate your efforts. I know that you truly cared about the city and the citizens in the direction that we wanted to take. So I appreciate what you've done and what you've tried to do. So I wish you and your family well, good health, and I have a hunch we'll be seeing you around someplace. And I hope our paths do cross again. Thank you.
Safety Service Director Lundy is not here. Finance Director Pileski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to wish Mayor Whitfield well in his, as he moves on. It's been a pleasure working with you. We've had many discussions over the table about money and what we can do, what we can't do. Some things we agreed upon, some things we didn't, but it was very nice working with you. I wish you well. And for Mr. Corbin and Ms. Simmons, I wish you good luck and well in the future, and Merry Christmas to all. Thank you.
Any questions for the Finance Director? Very good. Law Director Derry.
Good evening through you, Mr. President. I want to wish everyone happy holidays, fun but safe. I'm sure the police and fire chiefs are going to echo that. Mayor Whitfield and his family, best wishes. Also to Mr. Corbin and his family, Ms. Simmons, her family. Thank you for the past term. Thank you.
Any questions for the Law Director? Leader, Police Department, Chief Palco.
Good evening. I too would like to thank Mayor Whitfield for all he's done for the police department. It's greatly appreciated. You might know my number. You could give me a call whenever you want or whenever you need something. To Ms. Simmons and Mr. Corbin, thank you as well for all your service and all you've done for the police department. So with that said, I just want to briefly talk about the Harris radio system that the county administrators are trying to push down the chiefs, the fire departments and police departments, and make you aware of kind of what's going on. They decided to push a MARC system, which the majority of the fire departments and police departments do not want to go to. It's going to cost millions more than the Harris system that the police departments want to go to. The MARC system, the infrastructure is not built there, and quite frankly, some of those, we can't even communicate outside of the police department in certain places of the police department with the MARC's radio systems. So I want you to keep your eyes and ears open for that. There's more discussions going on with that. They haven't even met with the chiefs or of the fire or the police department to see what we want and see what would be best for our citizens. And they're trying to put this burden on the taxpayers, which is going to cost a lot more than the system that we want. So I just want to make you all aware of that, of what's going on. I'm sure Chief Pernesti is going to get up here and talk a little bit more about it as well. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions about anything else you have, though.
Any questions for Chief Palco? Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Mr. President. I don't know, I know it wasn't a full moon yesterday, but I left the Browns game from my house and I was leaving down 57 just before you get to Cleveland Street. There was an accident there with a car twisted. So I went over the bridge just before Taylor Street on the left-hand side. A telephone pole was down at the same time, and there was another bad accident there. I believe the fire department was there at that time. Anything going on that we should know, or just bad accidents, people weren't paying attention?
It was just, people were not paying attention. I know we were extremely busy yesterday with everything, so I don't know what I can attribute it to, but I know we were extremely busy yesterday.
Okay. Thank you.
Any questions for Chief? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Leader, Fire Department, Chief Pernesti.
Good evening. First off, I want to wish the mayor well and thank him. You've done a lot for the fire department, and I know we may not have always agreed, but you always had my respect. Your heart and your soul is always in the right spot, and I want to thank you on behalf of, I think we hired maybe 19 firefighters under your term, and so I just wanted to say thank you and good luck to you in the future. You have a wonderful family, and hopefully you get to spend some time with them. But thank you. And to Mr. Corbin, Ms. Simmons, good luck. Thank you, and good luck to you. And Merry Christmas to you all. All right. So I wish we could just go on and say, well, Merry Christmas and enjoy. But I have to talk about the radios. The county is, they are pushing a system that not one fire chief and not one police chief want. Think about that. And the infrastructure for the Harris radios is in place. If you remember in March or April, you cut a $423,000 check. And I have those radios, and they're in service, but they're not connected to the Harris system yet. The mayor will concur that we've been beating our heads against the wall trying to get the county to hook us up. With that, I would ask if you could tonight pass a resolution in support of your police chief and your fire chief and your police departments and your fire departments in supporting the Harris L3 system. I need your help. We need your help. We need your support. I have no idea what goes on from day to day. Every day is something different. All I know is that we've spent a lot of money. And the other thing is, we are also spending money right now in the fact that on the Harris system, and also with the Marks, but with the Harris system, we have to pay a fee per radio. So in September, October, I cut a purchase order for an entire year to cover every fire department radio on the Harris system. We're not on a system. I'm dumbfounded, but what support you could give me would be to pass a resolution. Many townships have already done so. Just to say, we support you. Again, the Mark system it's 2 to 3 years down the road. The Harris system is operational right now. The Mark system needs lots of infrastructure improvements to operate in this county. And I need your help and I need your support because it's consuming every single day of my being as the fire chief, and it shouldn't be like that. And it's always all about my firefighters and their safety and be able to dispatch them correctly, efficiently, with quality sound and with reception, and it's not happening. So the police and fire chiefs, I will tell you this, that in my 35 years, I've never seen police and fire chiefs so united in one cause, any cause, and that's a good thing. So I would like to compliment the county in getting every police chief and every fire chief together, because you would never see a police chief from Oberlin or Lorraine talking to a fire chief from Wellington or Elyria. So that is pretty good, and that bond is not going to break away. So with that, do you have any questions on what is happening that I could answer?
Does Chief, you have any questions for the chief in regards to what's being, about the radios in itself? I think, Chief, what we'll do with the resolution, we'll get it to a committee to make it proper wording and things like that, just to make sure we'll get that covered, and we'll address that here in the first of the year to handle that. So, but, you know, I know it's been a challenge, you know, with these radios based over the months that you and many other your colleagues within the county and things like that. But I guess, you know, we've had conversations in regards to the radios. They're not really being used to their fullest extent. And if you care, just to make a quick comment about that, because obviously there's, if it could, just because I think there's just a lawsuit with the county that's been going on, that they're not going to activate
Well, yeah, I mean, right now, the system, you have to, again, the easiest way I could describe it to you all is think about it, your cell phones, your cell service. Right now, we're T-Mobile and I want to go to Verizon, okay? Let's just take it like that. Well, in order for us to go to this system, I need the county to allow the company that we purchased the radios from, CCI, Cleveland Communications, who owns the system, to go into Lorain County 911 and pretty much unplug one wire and plug it in from one radio to another. Along with that, there is a piece of equipment called locution. And what locution is, it's automated dispatching. As the dispatcher at Lorain County 911 starts to type, if it meets our criteria, it is in our city, there is a tone and an automated voice while she's still typing. Think about the speed of that in today's day and age. While a dispatcher at 911 is typing, your firefighters are notified and an automated voice comes across and it says what the call is and where it's at, while the dispatcher's still on the phone and typing information into the computer. 2-3 years ago, all the fire chiefs were under the impression that this locution system, which was put into every firehouse in the one end of it, it's a couple phases, but every firehouse in the county has this system installed, one part of it. The other part needs to come from dispatch. The county did not do that, or did not pay for that for Elyria, so I asked for a check to be, a PO to be cut, so we could have that software at 911. That's the other piece of equipment that we need all in one, and it's not been done. So we'll see what happens, but it's not, our taxpayers, when I say Elyria's taxpayers, you know, we've paid for these radios, infrastructure equipment for our firefighters, and we can't use it. So,
Thank you, Chief. Oh, Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Mr. President. So what's their defense? Can I ask you that?
Law Director Terry.
Yeah, through you, Mr. President. At this time, I would advise that the city not get into any sort of speculation as far as the injunctive relief that's been requested on behalf of the Chiefs Association. I respect that that's the process, but I don't think it's appropriate that we engage in any sort of discussion as far as that, certainly not in a public forum, where we are not parties to that.
I would say, Mr. Oswald, that would be a conversation with Chief Pernesti on a sidebar, okay?
one last thing, so we'll get off the radios. I sent you all a little inter-office regarding minimum staffing. I just wanted to let you know just how low it is. We've only used 65%, and a lot of that was while we were waiting for new hires to what we call go into the count, to count on their own. But I wanted to show you that when we went up from 14 to 15, a lot of people thought, oh my God, this is going to cost a lot of money. It hasn't. You're staffing the fire department at the proper levels, and I thank you for that. But if you look at the overtime, it is drastically reduced. The averages there every pay period are 300 hours per pay period this year, counting this last one of the year, compared to over 500. So anybody that wants to make exception of that publicly, I ask that you show them that, or they can feel free to talk to me. But I wanted to prove to you that we are doing the right things at the fire department. Okay.
Oh, Mr. Tolet?
Yes.
Through you. On the issue regarding minimum staffing, please, you're outstanding at what you do. You're better than outstanding. We have two great chiefs here in our city. Please don't listen to the noise. That's all it is. And I know it's hard, and stand above it.
Yeah.
stand above it. You do not need to justify yourself to the citizens or us. So you have our support.
Thank
I
you.
think you know
Just
that.
being transparent and want you to see that, that's all.
Thank you, Chief.
All right.
Mayor Whitfield, do you want to make a quick comment?
Yeah, through you, Council President, to the rest of the City Council in regards to the radio situation. I think in short, the one thing I would say is, you know, the city was expecting to have these radios purchased for them and have them up and running at the beginning of the year. Unfortunately, you know, the county decided to rescind that agreement. But in the same meeting where they decided to rescind, they asked would the city of Elyria have skin in the game or not. Yes, and we did, exactly. They said will we have it or not, and we did bring skin to the game, and we purchased our own system. So now we're just in a position where we're waiting on them to honor their word, because we've honored ours and gone above and beyond. So that's where we are right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Assistant Safety Service Director, Ms. Calvert.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. President. First off, I want to thank Mayor Whitfield for asking me to join his administration 4 years ago now. I don't think we could have ever predicted what that first year in office would look like and all the challenges and uncertainties we had. But I'm very proud of the work that we were able to accomplish together and very grateful to have served alongside you and your team. So thank you. Also, to Mr. Corbin and Mrs. Simmons, thank you so much for your service. It's been a pleasure working with you as well this past term. I wish you all the very best, much happiness and success in your future. But before we let you go, I do have work for you. So we have, as you heard me say before, 2 activities for our comprehensive land use plan that are online and closing December 22nd. So this is the final chance for the community to share their input on where we are with the comprehensive land use plan to date. So the 2 activities are helping us prioritize and look through goals, goals, objectives, and strategies for the plan. So prioritizing what things we need to be doing and in what order. And then also to really weigh in on the land use map, so where the zones are they the right zones, what aren't we thinking about that we need to be thinking about, so we really need that input. So December 22nd is the deadline for that. I've printed off workbooks for all of you in case you haven't had a chance to do that online yet. So that's at ourelyria.com. You can submit these into council clerk's office, to community development, or to the mayor's office when you're completed with them. And I'm happy to answer any questions about the land use plan at this time.
Any questions for Ms. Calvert? Very good, thank you.
Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to report out on to end the year on a very successful note is the Spruce Up Elyria program. So I know you've been waiting for the tally on that program, and I have it for you. As you know, we authorized the program in 2023 with ARPA funds. We had about $500,000 that we were available to help residents fix up their homes. We kicked it off at the end of March and stopped taking applications in May because it was that popular. We served 100 households through the program. We had about 15 denials for applicants due to eligibility, and we received approximately 30 applications that we were not able to fund. And so to date, we have almost $410,000 in completed projects. We still have $68,350 of projects under contract and another $13,000 in projects in process. As far as the improvements, the types of improvements that were made, there's a big variety in the improvements that were made, but some of the most popular were 28 repair or replace the driveways, 28 porch repair or replacements, 22 sidewalks, 21 properties with window replacements, 11 with front doors, and 8 with front steps, and painting, an additional 8 with painting and staining. So we can provide a complete report for you, so you'll have it, you can review it. There's other, repairs that were made at lower amounts. So, but all in all, I think it was a super successful program that people were really excited about. And again, I can't say enough about our Community Development Department, and in particularly Kathy Evans, who really did the lion's share of the work in helping this program run smoothly.
Incredible. Any questions in regards to that, what was presented by Ms. Calvert? Ms. Davis.
Through you, Chair. Mrs. Calvert, I want to say that I saw the pictures and some of the work that was done in the Spruce Up area. And truly, the ones that I had contact with that had the work done was truly glad and appreciative for the city. Thanks to Mr. Kenny Oswald, who brought the initiative to the floor, and it was passed by council. Hopefully, the initiative can come back forward again, and those that wasn't able to make the cut, got the cut the first time, so maybe they can get in there the beginning of the new one. But it was a wonderful program. Thank you, Mayor, for allowing us to have it. It was great. It worked for the city and with the Opera Fund, and we appreciate it. And I'm sure the Elyria residents that were able to benefit from it was grateful. Like I said, I saw some of the work and it was outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Anybody else? All right, very good. Thank you, Ms. Calvert. Mr. Farkas, Chief Building Official.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To the Mayor, I would like to personally thank you for your involvement in the building department. During the COVID crisis, it was a challenging time for the building department in regards to technological shortcoming. You created and brought new ideas to the department, which in turn yielded a new zoning map, a new e-permit system, and more importantly, I want to thank you for listening regarding our land use plan. After many, many years of trying, we have finally initiated and are underway of getting a new land use plan, which will change and update the zoning, which is far past due. So again, I would like to thank you. I would like to go into a brief snippet of the year-end report for the building department. I did this last year. I brought charts and graphs. This time I thought I'd keep it simple. In regards to inspections for 2022, the building department put out around 3,641 last year, and in this year we put out 3,432. Keep in mind, we were down a plumbing inspector for a good 5 months, so it did hurt our numbers, but we did pick up our property maintenance inspector. That tally is holding true. That's a pretty good balance of the heartbeat of the city. Work is coming in. In regards to the inspection count for 2022, we were at 9,237. This year we are at 8,508, and that was due to the inspector being missing in our department. In regards to revenue, as many recall, we pursued the permit fee increase. In 2020, the total fee intake was $571,000. In 21, we were slightly down with $456,000. Mid of 2022, we initiated the fee increase from July until the end of the year. With that fee increase, we ended up with $682,000 in total fees. This year, with the new fee increase of a total year of it being impacted, we brought in $1,051,000. So that is an increase of $368,000, which is being utilized in our department for staffing. So I just want to give you guys an update.
Mr. Oswald.
Through you, Mr. President. So one of the things that COVID did with the building department, you changed a little bit of the way of how you did inspections, okay? Because there was, the inspectors couldn't go out and do them in person, so you started doing them with that chat and FaceTime and all that other stuff that you guys do on your computers. So how did that turn out? Is that going to be a process you continue, or just that was just for the time being? Thank you.
Mr. Chair, through you to Mr. Oswald. That was I call that a half measure in regards to the inspections, as we couldn't physically get out into the site to check these out. It was a double-edged sword. We had a lot of contractors that were taking snippets of areas, not the entire site. It is not something that we want to get in the habit of doing at this moment. But since we have the personnel available, there's nothing like a 3D eye, putting boots on the ground, taking a look at the inspection. We find that it's much safer that way.
Any other questions for Mr. Farkas? You have some more? All right. Very good, Mr. Farkas. Thank you very much. Mr. Corzan, Superintendent of Wastewater.
Thank you to you, Mr. President. I'd like to thank Mayor Whitfield, all of your accomplishments, really great. Thank you for allowing us to continue with the plans that we had put in place. It's greatly paying off. Appreciate everything you've done. Mr. Corbin, Mrs. Simmons, thank you for your 4 years of service. To all of council, thank you very much for all of your support. We've had a very busy but very successful year at Wastewater, and looking forward to another good year in 2024. I'd just like to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and all the best in 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Corzan. Any questions for Mr. Corzan? All right. Engineering, Ms. McKillips. Merry Christmas. Okay, while we're giving our salutations to the mayor and wishing him the best, I'd like to, at this time, I'll just like to thank Mr. Corbin and Ms. Simmons for their hard work and efforts and commitment to the city. You know, you pushed the needle on a lot of things, Mr. Corbin, and you did a great job in your ward, and not only for your ward, but for the city. So I appreciate your commitment to that, and good luck to you and your family, and have a Merry Christmas. Ms. Simmons, tremendous job in the 5th Ward as well. Wish you nothing but health and happiness, and better days to come for you, and just enjoying your retirement here soon. So with that being said. All right. President's referrals and remonstrances. Item number 1, to Planning Commission Community Development. Item number 2, Community Development. Item number 3, Community Development. Item number 4, Community Development. Item number 5, Finance Utilities. Item number 6, Utilities. Item number 7, Utilities. Items 8 through 11, received and placed on file in the clerk's office. Petitions and remonstrances from the lobby.
There are none. There are none.
Okay. Petitions and remonstrances from council members.
There are none.
Reports of standing and special committees.
We have one. The matter of a new liquor permit is requested by Pasquale's Pasta House LLC located at 301 Broad Street, Elyria, and the city of Elyria does not request a hearing.
Mr. Callahan?
Mr. President, I move that this committee report be passed under suspension of rules.
Second.
Excuse me, second by Ms. Mitchell. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Committee Report 2023-8. That's all the committee reports.
Resolutions first reading.
Sponsored by Finance. A resolution approving a list of properties for the collection of emergency temporary repair costs and directing the clerk of council to certify said cost to the Lorraine County Auditor.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this resolution be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Resolution 2023-34. That's all resolutions first reading.
Resolution second reading.
There are none.
Resolutions third reading.
There are none.
Ordinances first reading.
Sponsored by Community Development, an ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Chapter 1135 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Elyria, Ohio, to Tillian Limited for a R-PUD residential plan unit development at real property located at 264 Windsor Drive, Elyria, Ohio.
I declare this ordinance has had its first reading. Public hearing is scheduled for Tuesday, January 16th, 2024.
Sponsored by Community Development, an ordinance accepting the dedication of certain lands, easements, and rights of way for the installation of streets and utilities as provided for the final plat of River Run Landing Subdivision Phase 4.
Mr. Callahan?
Mr. President, I move that this ordinance be passed on its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second.
Second by Ms. Mitchell. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2023-173. Sponsored by Finance, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2023-34, known as the 2023 Permanent Appropriations Ordinance, to change funds in various accounts.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second. Second by Mr. Snyder. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2023-174. Sponsored by Finance, an ordinance to incorporate the 2024 Ohio minimum wage for part-time seasonal pay grades and declare an emergency.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules and declared an emergency.
Second. Second by Mr. Snyder. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2023-175. Sponsored by Finance, an ordinance authorizing the Finance Director to advance monies from the general fund to specified accounts.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2023-176. Sponsored by Finance, an ordinance amending wages of the Elyria Municipal Court elected officials pursuant to Ohio law effective January 1st, 2024, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules and declared an emergency.
Second. Second by Mr. Snyder. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2023-177. Sponsored by Finance, an ordinance to fix temporary appropriations for the first 3 months of the year 2024 and other expenses of the City of Elyria.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second. Second by Mr. Snyder. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2023-178. Sponsored by Finance. An ordinance authorizing the Finance Director to create 2 new capital project funds.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules.
Second by Mr. Snyder. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2023-179. Sponsored by Finance and Utilities. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with the city of North Ridgeville for sanitary sewer service on Taylor Street and declare an emergency.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules and declared an emergency.
Second.
Second by Ms. Mitchell. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2023-180. Sponsored by Finance and Utilities. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to submit applications to the Ohio Department of Development and accept, if offered, the water and wastewater infrastructure grant funds and declare an emergency.
Mr. Tolet.
Mr. President, I ask that this ordinance be passed in its first reading under suspension of rules and declared an emergency.
Second.
Second by Ms. Mitchell. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
On the suspension, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the emergency, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. On the passage, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2023-181. That's all ordinances first reading.
Ordinance is second reading.
There are none.
Ordinance is third reading.
There are none.
Committee calls.
Community Development requests the Law Director, Safety Service Director, Building Inspector, and Engineer. Oh. No dates. No meetings. Oh. Okay. We're going right to strategic planning. Council requests the mayor, safety service director, finance director, and law director on January 2nd, 2024, immediately following council meeting. That's all the committee calls.
All right. Miscellaneous and unfinished business.
Mr. President,
Mr. Tolet.
through you, I'd like to make a motion to reconsider ordinance 2023-166 to override the mayor's veto.
There's a motion by Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Tolet.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Mitchell. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, I have a discussion point, Council President.
Okay, Mayor.
So I would like to explain what this veto and what this piece of legislation was. So this legislation was to provide raises for the law director, the finance director, and the mayor. I vetoed this piece of legislation because, one, it wasn't properly referred. It was brought up to on the floor at the committee meeting. Secondly, there was no comparisons provided in terms of other wages and how it compared to other municipalities. Thirdly, I agree with the fact that the law director and the finance director had demonstrated through their work quality over the past 4 years the need for an increase in pay. However, I felt with a new mayor coming in and giving that mayor a $20,000 raise after they were elected was a little suspicious, especially in light of knowing that some of the conversations that were being had around certain council members pursuing employment opportunities with the mayor. So I felt that conflict of interest was prevalent, and I found it concerning how it was proposed on the floor, how there was no broader discussion around comparisons. And this is right on the shadows of me proposing a wage increase for our police chief and the amount of detail and data that was requested in order to justify his increase that still was less than $5,000. And here we were giving a new mayor who hadn't even started the job a $20,000 raise. So that was the reason for my veto. So I will make sure that's on the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
I'll call for the question.
Question's been called. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Ordinance 2023-182. No?
No. Oh, it stays 166.
I'm sorry. Ordinance 2023-166.
166.
166, correct.
Committee will entertain a motion, or council will entertain a motion for Mr. Oswald.
I just wanted to wish Reagan Phillips a happy birthday today, everybody. Thank you.
Mr. Callahan.
Through you, Mr. President, earlier in this evening, after the mayor had spoke, I gave him some well wishes and congratulated him, and I appreciated all his efforts throughout the years. But I did not get a chance to congratulate and wish Mr. Corbin good luck and Diane Simmons good luck as well. I do appreciate both of your efforts throughout the years. I enjoyed working with both of you very much, and I wish both of you good health. And as I told the mayor, I hope our paths cross again. Thank you.
With that being said, Ms. Mitchell.
Mr. President, seeing no other business, before I make a motion to adjourn, I'd like to thank Mrs. Simmons for her service and Mr. Corbin for his, and Mayor Whitfield, I wish you the best in your future endeavors. Seeing no other business, I'll make a motion to
Second.
adjourn.
Moved by Ms. Mitchell. Second by Ms. Simmons. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.